because it takes a few seconds. So the question today. So first of all, welcome to the Flipping and Wholesaling Houses in New York show. I am Michael Pinter, where I teach you how to start flipping or wholesaling houses in New York, or if you're already doing it, how to grow your business. Now, the question I got is a quitclaim deed the same as a title? And the short answer is absolutely not. I'm going to explain what a quitclaim deed is, what title is, why they're important. If you stay to the end, I'll explain to you why title is really important. I'll give you an example of a story that happened with me. So let's talk about what a deed is. So in New York, it's very rare to see a quitclaim deed. A quitclaim deed is a quick deed that doesn't really warrant that the person writing the deed owns the property. So it's usually done like on a family to family transfer kind of situation. I'm going to deed the deed over. I'm going to deed a house over to my kids. I'm going to do a quitclaim deed because my kids trust me. I trust them. There's no problem. What you see in New York almost all the time is a warranty deed. A warranty deed means that if the person giving the property over doesn't have full rights to the property, the deed is not valid, right? And that's why you get a title report. So we're going to get into that in a second. But basically, a warranty deed means I own this property and I'm conveying it to you. Quitclaim deed can be like I own a part of the property. I'm not really telling you what part of the property I own. I'm conveying it to you, but still you're going to have other problems. So if you get a property via a quitclaim deed, you could still have tons of problems. There could be liens on the property. There could be the person who sent it to you may not own the property, may not own all of it. So it's the least robust kind of deed, and it's very rare to happen in New York because attorneys are usually involved, and attorneys don't like quitclaim deeds in general. Now, what is title, and why is title related to the deed? A title report that you get in New York is it's usually expensive, and what it does is it checks who the owners are, what liens are on the property, so let's say mortgages, loans, or any kind of other deed associated with any person that might own the property. And it also does other things like check the housing and buildings, see if there are violations, check streets, and check all kinds of stupid things too. The taxes, how much are the taxes, that kind of thing. So you get a full title report in New York. It's pretty extensive. The reason why you want to insist, and the reason why almost every real estate transaction in New York has a title report, is because as a buyer, you're getting not just a report to see what's going on, but you're getting insurance that you are being conveyed that property with no problems. So what that means is that the title company is insuring, literally you're paying insurance, it's an insurance policy, that if a Native American shows up one day and say, this is my grandfather's land, you got to get out of here, and they can prove it, title company's got to pay you back for whatever you spent. I mean, that's a weird case, but let's just say a more common case is you buy a property from somebody who said they inherited from their parent or their grandparent, which is common, and then another heir shows up and says, hey, this guy sold you the house, but really half of it was mine. That happens, and that's why you want title insurance. Now I've made title claims, right? Which means if you have a problem and the title insurance company insures you, you can make a claim against them. Making a title claim is not fun. It's not quick. It's a pain in the ass. It takes a long time. And what people don't talk about with title is that you're usually dealing with an abstract company, a smaller company, and they're dealing with one of the 5 or 6 main title insurers. Though they just reinsure you. I mean, the abstract company is doing all the work, running the searches, making sure everything's good, but they're getting insurance from a bigger company. You have to make a claim with that bigger company. The bigger company is going to take its sweet time before they pay out your claim. So when you get a title report, that shows you what's going on. And when you get title insurance, it means that as a buyer, you own that property free. There's not going to be any problems. It's pretty much the opposite of a quitclaim deed. A quitclaim deed warrants nothing, right? I can sign a quitclaim deed from the Empire State Building to you right now. All that means is that you as the buyer better make sure that I own the Empire State Building, and you better trust me. Since I don't, that deed, whatever you paid me for that property, is going to be pretty much worthless. So it's rare to see them in New York. They almost always happen from people that know each other and trust each other. That's just the way it is because, like I said, it's the opposite of title. Now, why is title so important? Not just the fact that someone else may claim ownership, or that if there was any kind of complications, if the property went through probate, somebody died, there could be other heirs that you don't know about, but also because there could be other liens that show up against that person, right? So you may be borrowing some guy who owns the property free and clear, right, with no mortgage on it, but you don't realize that the guy has a $100,000 tax lien on him that they're going to attach to the property and make you pay off, and now it's attached to your property if you didn't get title. So what would happen in that case is the title company would say you got to pay off that lien. right? Hopefully there's enough proceeds from the sale to make that happen. But if you didn't, you're stuck with that crap. You as the buyer, and you didn't have anything to do with the taxes. You did not pay those taxes, but you bought a property that had a tax lien attached to it, and you didn't get a title report to make sure that it wasn't there. And it's not just tax lien; it's really any lien, any kind of judgment that stays with the property. It does not go away. Basically, the idea of a judgment, in fact, is when they attach to a property, is that one day somebody's going to sell this, and then we're going to get paid. That's the thinking. So you always want to get title, always, in New York. Now, one of the best things about New York that nobody talks about, and I didn't even realize this because I just thought it was happened everywhere until I started doing a couple of business in a couple other areas or seeing people who do business in other states, is that you always get the property free and clear. So, for example, when you go to an auction in New York and buy a property, you don't have to. Joel Kruger says no statute of limitations title claim. Family members come here for this. Yeah, there is no statute of limitations on these things. There is none, right? But if you have a title insurance, you don't have to worry about it because there's no statute on the title claim either. I don't think. So one of the beautiful things about New York is you get every property free and clear, right? So when I went to auction, there are a lot of people who buy at auctions. Other people buy at auctions in Florida. They have to run title before they buy because there could be all these liens showing up on a property, and they can get stuck with it if they buy the property. But in New York, I couldn't care less what liens were on there because the seller, which was the bank, was always responsible to pay those off. There is no subject to in New York. I know if you're thinking about doing subject to, which is a great method for buying properties and works in pretty much 49 states, is buying a property and leaving the mortgage in place, right? So a guy says, I don't want the property, just take it, take the mortgage, you deal with it, and then let's say you can find some kind of renter to cover the mortgage payment. That's very hard in New York, right? That works in other places, but in New York, because nothing's sold subject to in New York. In New York, everything is sold free and clear. Seller's responsible to pay off all liens, loans, anything on there has to be taken care of. So, in New York, when I used to buy at auctions, I never ran title. I couldn't care less what was on title because the seller had to cover it. Sorry. So, that's a huge deal. We don't realize how great that is in New York. In other states, you really got to worry about that when you buy a property. There could be other things showing up. And the guy can say, well, I agreed to sell it to you for $100,000, but I'm not covering my $400,000 tax lien. So that happens, right? In New York, it's going to be taken care of at the closing. Whatever the seller owes is going to have to pay. And you got to make sure that there's enough proceeds, right? So in that example, if you're buying a property for $100,000, a $400,000 tax lien, chances are the guy's not going to bring $300,000 to the closing to pay off that tax lien. But sometimes they're small. You got to look at every situation is different. But one of the best things about New York is every time you convey title, every time you buy something, you're getting it with no problems with it. No liens, loans, encumbrances, taxes are covered. Taxes have to be paid off till the day of the closing. So in other states, it's not like that. So I would say for the question, is a quitclaim deed, same time, it's the opposite of title. Quitclaim deed is really a piece of paper that's not worth much more than what you think. It's really worth nothing. Because it doesn't convey that the person who signed it owns the property. It doesn't convey that you're getting this property free and clear with no encumbrances. But in New York, you're going to want to order title on every single property, even though title is expensive in New York, because you want to make sure you don't have any problems after from that property. So that's the basic gist of it. Always get title. I've had situations where, like I said, I got title, and then somebody else came and said they owned the property. I had to make a title claim. It was a huge pain in the ass. Held me up from selling the property for a long time. It can happen, but at least I knew, at least I hoped, that the title company would make me whole if I had any losses. So that is a big, big deal. You want title insurance. I know people say, oh, we don't need title. Let's just go ahead. If you're a buyer not requiring title, you are making a huge mistake and taking a humongous chance. If you sold me any property for any dollar amount, I'm talking about a property I know is worth $1 million for $5, I would not take it without title, because there could be a lien on it for more than $1 million. So I would advise always against that. So I hope this was helpful. If you are interested in all the ways I can help you, go to howtoflipnewyork.com. If you are interested in a course I have that teaches how to do this in New York, go to howtoflipnewyorkcourse.com. If you're interested in information about one-on-one coaching that I provide people, go to coaching.howtoflipnewyork.com. If you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe. And if you are watching on any channel, please click like, thumbs up. Question, Joel Kruger, how is the cost of title insurance calculated as a percentage of the price? It is usually a percentage of the price. It's usually state mandated. It's much cheaper in Florida than it is in New York. New York is like the most expensive. But yeah, it's going to be a percentage of the price. Or, well, another thing I didn't talk about title. When I buy a property, let's say I'm buying a property for $400,000 and I'm taking a loan for $300,000. the lender is going to have a $300,000 insurance policy on their loan part of the property, and then I'm going to have a $100,000 owner's policy. You can, in theory, not take an owner's policy. The lender's going to require you to get a title insurance for them. So it's a percentage of how much you're insuring. Yeah, it's usually that. Because that's, you understand that their liability is limited to whatever you're paying. If I buy a house for $400,000, I take title insurance, and then somebody finds out it was somebody else's, they're going to have to pay me back $400,000. So that's the limit of what they owe, usually, except in rare cases. So it's the percentage of how much you're insuring. Okay, now I want to ask you to please keep the comments coming. Comments really help me. I go, I'm posting 5 times a week. I don't really know what to say a lot of the time, so please keep the comments coming. Any comment is good. It doesn't have to be on the topic of that video. If it's about something else, if it's simple, I'll just answer it. If it's about something that I covered recently or in depth, I'll send you a link to the video. And if it's something new, I'll do a new video on it. So thank you very, very much for watching.